other than that, सिंगापुर में मैंने सुना है कि ओवरऑल जो लाइफस्टाइल होता है दैट इज अमेजिंग, बट आप इंडिपेंडेंटली कार नहीं खरीद सकते या घर नहीं खरीद सकते आप. दैट इज दैट ट्रू?
So for me personally, staying in Singapore was never like a long-term thing. So I really never did put a lot of thought to buying a house or buying a car there. But yes, you're right. It's definitely expensive and even more expensive for expats. Expats are people जो दूसरे country से आके उस country में रह रहे हैं. So it's even more expensive for those people. So buying a car is definitely out of the question. Buying a house also, I never really thought about it. But yeah, as compared to US, these are like some setbacks of staying in Singapore. You can't really afford these luxuries. It's not easy.
But overall जो packages मिलते हैं सिंगापुर में that are competitive with US, right?
So slightly less, I would say, because US में you also end up paying a lot of tax, right? 30-40% of your salary goes in tax. Singapore में ऐसा नहीं है. Singapore में there are obviously tax slabs and the tax is also very less. So 2% or 3% of your salary is the tax, and that is it. So whatever salary you're getting is what you actually get, and not reduced by a very large percentage.
Oh, wow. तो उसका मतलब overall tax reduction के बाद same होता होगा. That's what
I would say that usme bhi slightly less because US में I know a lot of people keep saying that Singapore is a very expensive country, but in the US, when my brother was staying in the US, he was staying in San Francisco, and his living expenses was much higher as compared to my living expenses. And I realized that wo difference hai. Singapore is not as expensive as people keep calling it to be. So because of that, the salary was also slightly lesser as compared to what you get in the US, because cost of living bhi comparatively lesser tha. So for those reasons.
Awesome. And एक और क्वेश्चन बच्चे बहुत पूछते हैं कि आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी में जीआरई कट ऑफ भी होता है कि इट्स लाइक यूएस की होलिस्टिक प्रोसेस है, अगर आपकी जीआरई 300 प्लस है यू शुड बी फाइन, या फिर आपकी
होलिस्टिक प्रोसेस.
तो आपके जीआरई कितने थे?
So I had a 322 in my GRE, and TOEFL में I had 112. So they look at everything. So they look at your GRE, they look at your TOEFL, they look at your CGPA. And because I was going for a research-based program, I had to also submit a research proposal. And what I had done for both the universities, actually, for NTU and for Georgia Tech, I had tried to get in touch with the professor first, right? So even though I was applying, I had sent out emails to professors asking them if they had a research position available. And from both the universities, the professors had replied to me and had agreed to take me in. And that is why getting that application converted to, an admission offer became very easy for me. So I think for both the universities, that is something that worked very well for me. Yeah, that both the professors, they agreed that, if your application goes through, we will actually take you in.
Wow. But mainly मैंने देखा कि professors जल्दी email reply नहीं करते हैं. आपकी like did you had any connection or like it just happened?
No connection at all. So what I did was what people do mostly na कि bulk email shoot कर देते हैं कि I really like your work, I want to work in your research group and all that. And when professors read that, they realize कि यार ये तो bulk email है, and they never respond to it. What I did was I took out some time, read some of their research papers, and then I put in some good questions in my email that I read your research papers, and these were some of the things that I wanted to know more about. And at the same time, if you have a research position available, this is my experience and I would love to be a part of it. So that was a differentiating factor, that I spent some time knowing about the professor and what he does. And when I wrote those things in the email, they also knew कि यार genuine email आ रहा है and it's not a bulk email. So I did send out a lot of emails. I sent out like 40, 50 emails because I was applying to like different universities. And every university I sent emails to like 4 to 5 professors at least. But yeah, I got, confirmation from these two professors later on.
That's very, very inspiring once again.
Thank you so much, Arnold.
Now, another important question, जैसे आपने कहा कि you got a job at ExxonMobil, that is probably one of the best company to work as a materials engineer. So how was that journey, and आप बाकी students को क्या tip दोगे to get a job at their dream company as well?
Absolutely. So getting a job in a foreign country is not easy, right? So and something that I would obviously like to tell everyone कि it's not like India. In India, what happens is that companies come to your campus, right? They come for recruitment, they come for placements, and they definitely make sure that the colleges definitely make sure that all the students get placed. It's their headache, it's the college's headache. But abroad, foreign countries mein aisa nahi hota. You have to struggle to get a job for yourself. What is the university going to do? The university is going to set up a career fair for you, right? So, what is a career fair where companies come, they put up their stalls, and there are like 4 to 5 representatives from each company. So, you have to go to each stall, interact with these people, give your resume, and if they like your resume, if they have a personal connection with you, you build a network connection with them, then they will call you for an interview, right? So, that can be a very stressful process. So I did attend 2 3 career fairs and I got few calls from there. But for ExxonMobil, I had actually applied on the company's portal, and that's where I got a call from ExxonMobil. So overall, those 3 months when I was applying for a job, that was such a stressful process for me in Singapore. I think I sent out over 200 job applications, and I got a total of 4 interview calls. So I managed to clear all those 4 interviews, but getting shortlisted from that, 200 to that 4, that was a very difficult process. And I realized that resume plays such an important role. In India, it's not that important because again, companies are coming to campus and they select you based on CGPA and you have those written tests. But bahar aisa nahi hota, especially if you're going for non-tech roles. So, how you prepare your resume is actually very important. And again, something that nobody teaches us in India. So, that was again a struggle for me. And there were obviously a lot of help available at NTU to build a proper resume. So, that is also like one of the workshops that I now offer in India to the students so that they don't have to go through the same struggle that I did, right? So, once the resume got shortlisted at ExxonMobil, I had 2 interview rounds and they were mixed rounds. So there was both technical and behavioral questions in both these rounds. So for a non-tech person, you don't obviously have those coding questions and all that. So they asked you questions related to your project. And because I was a fresh grad, because I did not have any work experience, they did dig deeper into my research projects and what I had done. So you definitely need to have very good knowledge about your projects. So that was one thing. Secondly, what I would like to share with everybody is if you don't know the answer to a particular question, don't bluff it. So I obviously knew the answers to all my research projects, but then the interviewer asked me something about the industry, about the chemical plant, very technical thing. And obviously, I never worked before in a plant, so I did not know that answer. So I directly told him, Sir, I don't know about this answer. Could you please actually tell me a little bit about it? And he did, right? And so that did not negatively impact my interview at all. And coming to behavioral questions, so behavioral questions are also very important because all the companies nowadays want to test your soft skills. So, how good you are. So, they want to see your problem solving skills, your communication skills, your adaptability, right? These are different things that they want to measure. And how do they do that? They do that by asking you behavioral questions. Tell us a time when you failed. Tell us a time when you handled a lot of pressure, right? So, these were some of the questions that were asked to me in the interview. And how I had prepared those were I thought about all my life experiences in undergrad, in masters, and I prepared stories out of it in the form of STAR. So, what is the situation that I was in? What was the task that I had at hand? A was the action, like what was the action that I actually took? And finally, what was the result out of it? And I prepared like those 1 minute stories using the STAR technique. And the storytelling that I did in my interview actually worked a lot because it keeps your audience engaged, it keeps your interviewer engaged, it builds that personal connection with them. So that really worked well for me. And then the final thing that actually got me the job was asking questions in the interview. So I asked 2 questions in the interview, and that actually ended my interview on a very high note. So the first question I asked them was something related to the industry. So I asked them ki if petrol price changes, right? Because it keeps fluctuating, right? The oil price. So does that actually affect the manufacturing in the company? So that was a good question to ask because nobody really thinks about it from the business perspective. So being a technical person, if I was thinking about their business, it showed that yes, I had a broader perspective towards things, right? So this was one question that I asked. Second question I asked to the interviewer was about his personal experience. So the person who was taking my interview was 20 years into the company. And I asked him, Sir, you've been in this company for so long. What is this one achievement that you're really proud of? And he got so excited because nobody had ever asked him this question. And he went on and on for 10 minutes ki how personal achievement for him is not very important now. What he likes is how his team performs. And if his team does very well, then that is his achievement. So he was personally feeling so good sharing that story. So overall, my interview ended on a very good note. And when I was even leaving the interview room, I could feel confident कि हाँ interview अच्छा गया है and selection होना चाहिए, you know. So these were few things that I actually did in the interview. And even though I was a fresh grad and competing against people with 1 year of work ex, 2 year of work ex, I was still able to get that job.
Wow, that's an amazing story. To honestly, जब मैं भी मतलब interview end करता हूँ, I ask good questions, but your questions were extraordinary. कि even the interviewer was so excited. That's amazing. Yeah.
So
Yep.
yes.
So what would be the final tips you would like to give out to the prospective students जो अभी भी मतलब struggle कर रहे हैं to find job because of COVID या फिर अभी इस scenario में US, Canada कहीं पे भी, US, Singapore कहीं पे भी.
Right. So I think what I would like to tell everybody is definitely keep working on your technical skills and keep building your technical skills. But at the same time, also work on your communication skills. Because if you're not able to communicate your technical expertise and share with the interviewer or share it on your resume how good you are in those skills, then that's where most of the applicants get rejected. So work on your technical skills, but at the same time, keep working on your communication skills as well. Because if both these things go hand in hand, then there's nothing stopping you from getting a good job and becoming very successful in your career.
Awesome. Perfect. So thank you so much, Neha, for sharing your valuable
Thank you.
information. I'm sure you have already helped a lot of students on Wise Up Communications already, and this video will add up to that number. And I'll link your YouTube channel as well as the website of your
Yes.
startup.
Thank you so much, Harnoor. It was such a great time talking to you, and you make this whole thing seem like so easy to do. So, thanks a lot for that, really. Yeah, it was a pleasure.